Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, the start of the school year from the perspective of our faculty and students. My name is Meredith Kalfels. I am the Associate Director of Advancement for Enrollment and Communications here at Aquinas. I can tell you I started here in 2013 and I've seen my fair share of school openings, and none has been as unique as this year's for obvious reasons. And I'm sure for everyone who is joining us on today's webinar, you've all tuned in for a number of different reasons, but maybe the biggest reason being curiosity. How is Aquinas doing school 5 days a week on campus? It's definitely not the norm for the county and the region. As you know, most are hybrid, but Aquinas is back on campus 5 days a week for in-person instruction. And we're going to get into a little bit about that, hearing from our panelist students and teachers. So again, I want to thank you for being here and for tuning in. So with that, I want to open this like we open everything with a prayer. So Leah, take it away.
All right. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Teach me goodness, O Lord. Make me a person of faith, compassion, and honor. Teach me discipline, O Lord. Make me a person of humility, character, and determination. Teach me knowledge, O Lord. Make me a person of scholarship, collaboration, and culture. Teach me, O Lord. Make me a person who truly believes whatever the Son of God has said. St. Thomas Aquinas, pray for us. St. Joseph, pray for us. St. Basil, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen.
All right. So thank you so much, Leah, for doing that. I am going to have our student panelists introduce themselves first, and then we will have our faculty members. And because you did the prayer first, Leah, I'm going to have you start us off and just run down, you know, what town you're from, your previous school, activities you're involved in at Aquinas, where you're applying to college, and what you're hoping to do in the future.
All right. So my name is Leah Jones. I'm from Irondequoit. My former school is Mercy, and at Aquinas, I am a member of Executive Council for Student Government. NHS, I'm a part of the Alumni and Business Relations internship, and I've also been a student ambassador. For college, I'm applying to Notre Dame, U of R, and maybe Cornell for biomedical engineering.
What do you hope to do with your biomedical engineering degree?
So I'm not 100% sure that that's the exact engineering I'll do, but that's what I'm leaning towards at the moment. And I just think it'll be really neat to be able to see, like, not only have that engineering, but be able to be one of the only like females in that field. Like, it's very uncommon. And I just think it'd be interesting to be able to like design prosthetics, have that, like, that's a big part of people's lives, people who are missing limbs or whatever, be able to make that change in their life and make it a little bit easier for them.
Excellent. Thanks, Leah. Before I pass it off to another student, I just want to let the viewers know that we will be using the chat feature at the end for questions that you have. So if you want to hold off until then, we will certainly get to your questions. Let's see, let's pass it up to Brennan. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Brennan. My previous school, I used to go to Eastridge, which is in East Irondequoit. So me and Leah are kind of close to each other. Activities I'm involved in at AQ. So I do student council, and I'm the head of our diversity club here at Aquinas. And I think that's about it for my school activities. I do a lot of outside stuff. And where am I applying to college? I am applying to Stanford, Johns Hopkins, Georgia Tech, a couple of others. Those are the big three for me. and my career plans. So I'm actually also going for biomedical engineering, hopefully. But for me, I actually want to go after to med school and become a plastic surgeon. So that's what I want to do with my degree.
Great. I'm sure this is exciting for Mrs. Gionta to hear all of these kids going into biomedical engineering. That's awesome. Wes, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Wesley Henderson. I am a senior here at Aquinas. I'm from the city of Rochester. I used to attend Rochester Prep, which is a charter school. Here at Aquinas, I am a captain on the varsity basketball team, and I'm a part of the alumni internship. I want to apply to a lot of HBCUs for college, such as Howard, Claflin, and I'm looking at Buffalo, UB for criminal justice. That's my major I want to go into. I want to become a lawyer sometime in the future. That's pretty much it.
Thanks, Wes. And then our last student panelist, we have Olivia.
My name is Olivia Gorre. I'm from Webster and Brockport, and I previously attended St. Lawrence. Activities at Aquinas, I am part of the Executive Council for Student Government. I am on the varsity volleyball and softball team. I am the student ambassador, and I'm an NHS. So I'm applying to college at Fordham University, NYU, Villanova, and Temple, and I am aiming to get my master's in business administration with a concentration in international business.
Excellent, thanks Olivia. So now we move on to our faculty who are with us today, and I'm gonna go oldest to youngest. So Mr. Dietor, your name, your year of graduation, the courses you've taught since you've been at Aquinas, and how many years you've been here.
Okay, Bob Dietor. Could I go to courses I haven't taught, because it might be a shorter list? No, graduated from here in 1973 and left for 4 years to go to college and came right back in 77. So I've been here for 44 years. This is year number 44. I've taught algebra, geometry, business math, psychology, health, phys ed. I think that might be it. And I coach football and golf right now.
Yeah, so a man of many talents.
Maybe.
You've never led the choir in anything?
No, but I did have the chess club one year.
There you go.
Close to 90 athletic I've had, so.
Great. And Mrs. Gionta.
Hello, my name's Ashley Gionta. I graduated in 2006. This is my 8th year at Aquinas, not as long as Mr. Dietor, but he did teach me phys ed when I went here. I have taught 8th grade sciences, living environment, anatomy and physiology, AP biology. I am the science and technology department chairperson. I am the capstone coordinator this year and ski club moderator.
So again, very involved. Were you that involved as a student as well?
I was my class president all 4 years.
There you go. Well, it's great to see alums that do come back to teach. I think that's awesome that you come back and you already know the culture and you're happy to share it with the next generation of kids. So that's great. So what I'm going to do is open up some questions to the panel and have you just tell us your thoughts. Tell us how the school year is going. I'll direct it to a specific person, and then if anyone wants to add to that, you know, we'll be able to do that. So to start us off, I'm gonna start with you, Brennan, just because you're the first tile here. What do you find is the biggest difference from the start of this school year to previous years?
Oh gosh, that's a lot actually. The biggest difference specifically, I mean, obviously it's the masks and the social distancing. Especially in our classrooms, we're limiting the amount of students in a classroom, and we're lowering the amount of desks. We're spreading them out. We have plexiglass dividers at our lunch tables. So it's all the measures that we're taking to really, do the right thing health-wise. But it's just so foreign having, in previous years it being just so close and so social here, the way Aquinas normally is, just having us spaced out and separate. I think that's definitely the biggest change this year.
Do any of our other students want to add anything to that as far as what the biggest difference is? Okay. I'm sure, I've noticed in my own life how much I took for granted just being able to walk out of the house and not have to think about, do I have my mask? Do I have the kids' masks? Do I have my hand sanitizer? And all those things, just being able to walk freely about. So that's definitely a big change. But I'm going to go over to Wes for the next question. What do you find are some of the biggest challenges for you and your peers?
A challenge that I face and I've heard a couple people face is completing like all the work online. The traditional way of, taking notes, handing in all your work is on a piece of paper. So me doing my notes online and on the computer is kind of challenging at times, especially if the internet is, say, down, or if a teacher can't get anything, or technical difficulties. It was just so easier to, hand in a piece of paper to your teacher, but now it's completing work online is just one of the challenges that we go through.
Any other students want to elaborate on that? What are some of the challenges that you're facing? Leah, you look like you might be trying to unmute.
I can, sure. I definitely agree with Wes, in terms of technology, that has been my biggest challenge. I'm not a very tech savvy person. So, from taking notes online to having a ton of our assignments on there, to even sometimes assessments, it's been a process. I feel like I've pretty adapted pretty well. And even we have our overflow rooms where if there's too many bodies for a classroom, once a week or so, we'll rotate into that room and log in virtually from there. So that's definitely been an adjustment as well. But I think that over the first couple weeks of school, we all got a lot better with that pretty quick, considering that's what our day-to-day life is now.
I have a slightly smaller challenge, which will seem insignificant. During the first few days, it's hard for me to remember which stairwells to use, because we have the outside stairwells being up stairwells and the inner stairwells being down stairwells. So, trying to walk into that rush of traffic on accident, it took a couple days to remember, but we all got it now.
I had the same issue, Brennan.
Well, let me just tell you guys that when I was here at Aquinas, that's how it always was. It was up the outside and down the inside. Mr. McGuire used to tell us every year.
All right. I'll ask the same questions of our faculty members. Ashley or Mrs. Gionta, I'll start with you. What was the biggest difference from your perspective from the start of this school year compared to others?
So for me, it was the feeling of uncertainty coming into the school year. Normally in the beginning of the school year, we know where we'll be teaching, how many students, which students will be in front of us. And coming into this school year, it was the feeling of uncertainty as a teacher. Will I be teaching in the same classroom? What students will be in front of me and what days? How do I make my overflow schedule? The biggest one too is how long will we be in school? What does my pacing look like? Will I be able to cover all of the content I need for my students to be successful? So those for me, that's the biggest difference, I think, is just that uncertainty. This is my 8th year, and I thought I had everything down, kind of. I like to adjust every year and make it new depending on who the students are in my class. But starting this year, it's just uncertainty and not knowing.
Bob, I'm sure after 44 years, you thought you had everything down too. But how did it change for you, especially in the realm of PE? Physical education, I'm sure, looks a little different than it did in previous years.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. And, you know, to me, the biggest difference to me is that usually when you came into school, that those first week and a half, 2 weeks, was kind of shaking off the cobwebs of being out for the summer and getting back into school mode. And then you kind of went on, okay, now we're in the school mode and this is how it works. And you kind of cruise that way. Well, it's not that. I'm still waiting for that cruise control because it hasn't hit yet. It's like Ashley said, you don't know one day to the next what's going to happen. So you're always, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think that a lot of us now are kind of leaning on each other and getting a little bit closer, because it's like, you know, we're all in this together. And that's always been something that Aquinas has been all about, is how we have been together as a community. And I think it maybe makes us closer as a community right now. But it's that sense of, you know, we're not into any comfortable mode yet because there's so much going on. And in phys ed, yeah, it's like, you know, our biggest thing in phys ed is we want kids to be active. That's always been our basis of the program. And now with the parameters they're giving us, you know, social distancing, you can't share equipment, and we can't get in the locker room, so we can't change for class. So that kind of changes everything we could do. And we have to try to find things that keep kids active and busy and on their feet, relieving some of the stress of being in the classroom and wearing masks all day, yet being within those parameters. So that's been a challenge. And, you know, we've done some things, frisbee golf and walk the track and do things like that outside, but it's a day-to-day challenge. I mean, we've come up with stuff as we've gone and said, hey, wait, we could do this. We could kick soccer balls around if they're not running around too much, and get lacrosse sticks and throw balls back and forth. So everything is evolving as we go. It's really, and Mr. Mancini says it all the time, it's a fluid situation. It's not something that's standing still. So that's been our big challenge, and that's been a big difference. Okay, I'm done.
Well, thank you. That was great. And building on that a little bit, I know Wes mentioned doing everything online because we've gone paperless this school year, so there's less transmission of materials and sharing of papers and things like that. Mrs. Gionta, do you find that is also a challenge for you? Or what other challenges of that sort are you facing?
Yeah, so it's almost become that we're IT and tech gurus as well, because during the class there's a handful of things that could come up. You're teaching kids how to use Teams, you're teaching kids how to edit documents online, you're getting them to use Ensuite. So it's learning new skills. I know that the students say that they are struggling with submitting things online, but you have teachers that have things in PDF, you have teachers that have things in PowerPoint, and we're being asked to change all of this and put it on a platform where it's accessible to students online. So it's a learning curve. We're trying our best. We're trying to help kids through the day along with teaching our curriculum and delivering that. So yeah, it's been a challenge. I think the good thing as a teacher is just to understand that if we're going through this and we're stressed out and we're struggling with it, that our students are too. So it's about having empathy for them. Not making excuses, but having empathy and understanding that it's a difficult time for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm sure too, there's a fine line. You have to balance your students who are in the classroom. As we mentioned, there are students who sometimes go to overflow spaces so that we can maintain the social distance within each classroom. And then there's also the component of the kids who have chosen to distance learn and who are remoting in from home. So I can certainly empathize with all of that. So thank you for your thoughtful response. I'm going to throw it to Olivia now. Do you feel safe in school? And if yes, why or how?
I do feel safe in school, and one of the biggest reasons I do feel that way is just the administrators and the teachers just have a way of comforting students and making them know that everything is going to be okay. Every morning when I walk into the building, I see Mr. Mancini, I see Mr. Colson sometimes, I see everybody there welcoming you, and we're all in this together, and they know they're doing their best with making the circumstances feel as normal as possible. And just having that smiling face around, and like with all of your questions and just reminders, emails. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some of the health protocols, I guess, that you go through before you even get into the building?
Yeah. So in the morning, we walk in through the line, and there is the temperature checker. You hold your wrist up, or somebody's there with the device to check your temperature. Everybody has their mask on, and it's fast, it's smooth, efficient. It takes 2 seconds, and you're in the building and cleared. Yeah.
Great. And there's also a health questionnaire that your parents fill out prior to, correct? Yeah. All right. Does anyone else want to speak? Any of the other students want to speak to safety and your thoughts and feelings on that?
Yeah, sure. So she really talked about the real comfort that we are feeling, and I definitely feel that. But also on like an equipment side, our school, Aquinas, we did an amazing job of getting all of these air filters in every single classroom. We have these massive air filters in all of the large communal spaces, like the student union, the cafeteria, the senior lounge, the auditorium. It's all of the hallways have one of these huge air filters. And from a standpoint, knowing that this is an airborne thing that we're facing, knowing that our school has the ability to protect us in such a way that makes sense to what we're facing, really does make me feel safe here.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, we have an amazing air filtration system that we invested in over the summer. So it's turning air over in classrooms in those large spaces, like Brennan was saying, multiple times in an hour, bringing fresh air from the outside in. So it's constantly turning over the air, which is just another safety implementation to make sure that everyone is healthy and safe on campus. Okay, so I know Mrs. Gionta was touching on some of that technology and how it's a learning curve for everyone. Let's see, Leah, do you want to talk about how you feel teachers are being successful in navigating education during a pandemic and provide us with some examples?
Yeah. So as Ms. Gionta was talking about, in terms of technology, it really is like a team effort. A lot of times teachers are telling me how to do something. Once in a while, we can help them out with something. And just being available, like if I have a question at home about something because of how it's set up online or something, I can easily message teacher. They usually get it back fairly quickly. I can't imagine, because getting all those emails and stuff and having to respond to them, you guys do a great job of that. I have noticed that. And just being able, they're taking all their information, they have to modify it, like she was saying, to get it ready for us. So that's a lot of extra work on top of that too. So just them putting in the extra time and effort for us all to be able to be here and be online, and be able to get the information we need to in the time we have. I feel like they've been doing a great job. I don't know, from my point of view, that's what I see.
Wonderful. Do any of our other student panelists want to elaborate on that or give another example of how their teachers are kind of going above and beyond and really helping them out during this time? Yeah, Olivia.
On top of the technology being so hard to navigate, one of the biggest advantages for being a Aquinas student this year is I still get to come into the building every single day, and the teachers are still here every single day working through your periods. You may be in an overflow room one day, but you can find them during a free period. They're always available to catch you up if you miss something, you had difficulties. It's been a really easy to get that information you need if you missed it, and they're definitely always available for you, like Leah said.
Great. Yeah, Brennan.
I think another thing is just how willing to learn all of our teachers are also. That, you know, well, there is definitely a learning curve. For me, I actually find that I'm showing my teachers a lot of new things and that they're being very responsive to it, whether it's like having to change a couple of little settings to make things work the way they want or showing them how to use a new application this year. I think that all of our teachers have been really, really open to accepting that this is the technology we're going to have to use. I also think that it helps that Aquinas gave us all laptops this year to make sure that every student had a similarly working platform and that every student was capable of doing this work, whether we had to go remote suddenly or if we're, you know, hopefully going to stay in person the full time, that it's going to stay the same.
Yeah, that's a great point. So Aquinas is one-to-one this year. All of our students were given Dell laptops. You know, we can't thank the board and the administration and our IT person or persons enough to make that happen, to turn around a program like that and to have it be as successful as it has been. I mean, they really had to move mountains and they had a short amount of time to do that. So, so it's been a blessing for sure. I'm gonna flip that perspective a little bit and have our faculty members tell us a little bit about what kinds of things has Aquinas done for you, the faculty, to help you be successful. And I'll start with Mr. Dietor.
Okay, the thing that Aquinas did, the biggest thing I think that they did over the summer. They put together a program. They left no stone unturned to make sure that when they presented to New York State, we wanted to go back 5 days a week. New York State was going to say, yeah, we could. So they put every protocol into place so that our students could be with us. And that's huge to us teachers because none of us teachers were trained to be online teachers constantly all the time. And to do that and to have kids home one day, here the next day, for our parents, for our kids, for everything, just having them in the building that's the best thing they could have done for us. But kind of along with what Brennan was saying too, where the teachers are willing to learn from the students and the administration is giving us kind of a little bit of leeway too and saying, okay, we don't have all the answers. You tell us what you guys think. You know, they've always been open to our suggestions, but even more so now they're like saying, hey, listen, if you see something that works, let us all know. So there's a lot of sharing, and it always falls back to that community thing. We're all in this together, and that's how we're handling it, and that's how we're getting through it. So, but I think that the biggest thing they did was to allow us to get back into the building 5 days a week with our kids. Plus all the safety things that they've done that have been unbelievable. That's it.
Mrs. Gionta, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. I 100% agree that the most important thing was getting our students here in the building. I think mental health is a big part of that for myself as a teacher and students. Being home for 6 months was challenging. So I think coming back to school and having that interaction is good. My husband and I had a lot of conversations over the summer because coming back this school year, I was going to be pregnant with our second child. And so health and safety was huge, and we had many conversations about that. And coming back and just hearing what Dr. Cook has done and the administration and the board and the air filtration systems, and knowing that we were going to be supported, it was a very easy decision to come back, because I knew that if I was going to teach at any school in Monroe County, that Aquinas would be the safest place to be. If I was a teacher, if I was a student, a faculty, staff, anyone, Aquinas is the safest place to be in Monroe County because of everything that they've done and all the steps that they've taken to keep students, faculty, staff safe. So I think it's health and safety. It's also the mental health piece with making sure that our students have access to our after-school activities, our clubs, and as best of a curriculum as we can deliver to them.
Great. All right, back to our students. Wes, we talked a little bit about the one-to-one program, and that's one of the things that, you know, was provided to students to help make this a successful process. Is there anything else that you feel Aquinas has provided for you to be successful?
Just building off of what you and Brennan was saying, the computers, I feel like that's like a huge, you know, plus for what we have, not being able to turn in any papers or anything. And it's obviously our job to keep them charged, but I feel like that's like one of the things that helps a lot of people in like this crisis with turning in homework and, you know, having notes and things like that.
Great. How about the emotional and just overall mental support that's available to you guys? Do you feel that you have that support from Aquinas?
Yes, for sure, especially in our teachers. Our teachers are very patient with us with handing in homework, completing our notes, anything. Our teachers know that it's a hard and long process with doing these things, and I feel like they trust us. They trust us with, you know, not cheating on tests. We obviously can't turn our computers off during tests, but they have trust in us.
Okay. Let's see. Brennan, what do you think can be done to ensure that we continue to be safe and successful the rest of this school year? What is within our power to do?
Yeah, so I think that our biggest thing is just going to be our consistency. It's just going to be remembering that, you know, if you have a classmate or a peer whose mask is slipping below their nose, you got to remind them to pull it up. You have to, you know, make sure that just because there might be low traffic on the stairs, you aren't going the wrong way. Just because, you know, you hand sanitize, you know, last period doesn't mean that if you're asked to do it again, you don't do it. Just really this consistency of keeping up on these health standards that we put in place so that we don't fall behind and that we don't relapse into where we were, you know, 3-6 months ago. So I think that, yeah, the biggest health thing would definitely just be our consistency.
Yeah, and you know, one of the other things, I don't think it was mentioned yet, in every classroom, there are resources for students and faculty members, you know, to stay safe. And I don't know if Brennan, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like I said before, we have these different air filter units in each class, and then we also have hand sanitizer and disinfecting wipes. So every time I walk into a class, I grab a couple wipes, I wipe my desk down. Before I leave the class, I normally try and get a squirt of hand sanitizer. We also have hand sanitizer throughout the halls. Oh, and we also replaced all of our water fountains, so they're contactless, so we didn't have to shut them down. That's huge. We let our students carry water bottles this year so that they don't have to use the water fountains as much, but the water fountains have that cool, you know, you put your water bottle there and it's got the sensor, but it's also got a hand sensor underneath so that you don't have to touch a bar to turn it on.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, those are some additional safety measures I think sometimes we underestimate. We think about these wonderfully powered, air filtration things, but then it's like, yeah, we have some touchless water bottle fillers, which are great because obviously they create less touch points through the building. So thank you for mentioning those. Let's see, Olivia, if you could have one thing return to normal, what would it be?
I think 100% the thing I want to return to normal is that personal connection you get from being able to be close to people. With Aquinas community and family, as everybody has said before, is huge, and I do miss being able to get that connection in the classroom with your students, with your teachers, working together hands-on projects. Or in the auditorium, being able to celebrate masses in school together, the pep rallies, all of that. It's definitely hard not having it this year, even though we are doing our best and we're all in this together. I definitely want to be able to sing the alma mater with my senior class sometime.
Wes, what do you miss most? What do you want to go back to normal first?
For sure, I believe the mass is very different from walking around the school just talking to your friend. You can't really understand what they're saying at times. And in lunch we have plexiglass, so when you're talking to your friends, you can't really hear them through the plexiglass because it's very thick. So you have to sometimes just like maneuver yourself or talk a little louder. But it's very different. I wish that could go back to normal.
I wonder when and how awkward it will feel actually to go back to the norm when I, don't have to bring the mask to the grocery store or wear it here in the building. I think that will be another strange adjustment, but I look forward to that day too. Leah, what are you hoping will go back to normal?
A little less on the academic side, going more towards social. I want the social events kind of go back to normal. Like last week we had homecoming week. We had our spirit week, which I was so happy to have. It was a little different. It wasn't built around a sports game or anything, but we made it happen. Most schools aren't even in school some days, and they were saying we put on a pep assembly that when people aren't even going to school 5 days a week. As a senior, and the rest of the students on this panel are also seniors, so I'm sure they can vouch for this. I'm just happy we are in school. I do wish we could have, be participants in the pep rally more. It was a little different. We couldn't have all of our classes participate in a given space, but with the restrictions, that was obviously not really doable. And even just being able to go to sports games, there's a very restricted number of people who can go, even to the sports that we are having right now. So just being able to come together, which as a class we are coming together, given that we're all here 5 days a week. Like we said, we're all dependent on each other to kind of follow things. But coming together more in school spirit to support sports teams or each other as classes.
I'm sure being, seniors during a pandemic, this will create an extremely unique bond that you don't even know yet. When you come back for your 10-year reunion, remember when? I just imagine this is going to unite you in ways you don't even necessarily recognize right now. But Brennan, do you want to share what you hope goes back to normal?
Yeah, of course. Mine's a little different. So for me, my biggest thing I wish we had normal were our science labs. So I'm a big science guy. Obviously, I said I wanted to go biomedical engineering, but I'm on my second AP Science. I took a double science last year, actually. I said I don't want an elective. I'm going to take AP Bio, who Ms. Jones was my amazing teacher. And I also took physics. So I'm a big science guy. And not being able to do in-person labs is really weird because we're using an online tool. And while the applied concepts are still there, there's something about being able to hold the materials in your hand to really put one-to-one together. So I really wish our science labs could go back to normal.
That's a great point. And I don't know, Mrs. Gionta, if you want to elaborate a little bit on on the labs and the ways that you are achieving those right now. I think that would be interesting for our viewers to know.
Yeah, so the big thing is the shared equipment and making the education equitable for all. So if we have students in overflow or we have students that are distance learning, we want them to be able to participate in the labs. So the best way to do that is to do virtual labs. So we actually just had a department meeting last week where we discussed ways in which we can start incorporating those more hands-on things. So our plan is that Aquinas purchased a bunch of document cameras for the science and technology department. So the plan is to start working more on the hands-on labs where each student gets their own role, and we can actually live stream those labs to the students that are in the overflow or that are distance learners. We can even make those accessible online, like if alumni want to watch us do that. But it's difficult, it's challenging. It's funny that Brennan said that, because that was what I wrote down on notes as the first thing that I wanted to return to normal, being able to do labs. It's challenging. Obviously, we're asking our teachers to do a lot, but I think that the teachers in the science and technology department are doing a really good job. So it's online, it's using Gizmos, it's using Howard Hughes Medical Institute, where we use a lot of college labs to do online. But we're working on it. It's a work in progress. So Brennan, in a month, tell me how we're doing.
Thank you. Mr. Dietor, what would you have go back to normal if you had one thing?
Well, I'm going to kind of go with what Wesley said, because first thing I thought of was the masks, but not for the uncomfortable reason. But as a teacher, it's really important to get feedback from your students as you're talking to them and they're learning. It's a little bit harder when you only see this up here. You lose all that bottom facial expression. And the other thing is, I don't know if I'd recognize some of my students if I saw them in the street right now, my newer ones, because they're always wearing masks. So I think, to me, it's but I like Olivia's answer. I really enjoyed what she said about that bonding and being able to get close again. But to me, the masks, get rid of the masks more, because I need to see their faces. I need that feedback. And my advice to all you seniors: save your masks and take them to your 10th reunion, because you're going to all have a good laugh for that.
Yeah, again, another thing I think we take for granted is how much we read faces and facial expressions, you know, to see how people are feeling and responding, and the masks do take a little bit of that away. So thank you, Mr. Dietor. And I have one final question that I'm going to ask of all our seniors, and that's, how is Aquinas helping you get ready for college next year? I'm sure this is not the way you imagined your senior years going, but you know what? We at Aquinas have a job to do, and that's to get you ready, and we want to know how that is happening for each of you. So I'm going to go around again. I'm going to start with Wes.
Our counselors are annually coming into our classrooms and helping us, you know, apply for college, check if we're talking to our teachers about teacher recommendations, things like that. It was a site that we were on. It was called Naviance, I believe. You know, it's helping us apply to the college that we want, showing, you know, we can't actually go to the college to see like what's going on, but we can go online. They're having Zooms to, you know, just see like what's going on and how you want to apply.
Great. So college counseling, that's still a big part of helping you guys get ready. Olivia, do you want to share how you are preparing?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things that our counselors have been working, even through the summer with us, is through virtual college visits. They've been holding them during school. They've been in my emails. They go through with each student and help them figure out which ones they would like and what's going to be best for them. It's definitely been, I know Mrs. Reno, Ms. Montalbano I've asked them many questions. They've been available to help me with my application. They've been in our classrooms. Yeah.
Great. Leah.
So the first thing that came to mind for me was also like the counselors and having that accessibility. but also just in terms of like academics, all our AP classes, granted, we don't know what the AP exams are going to look like this year. In terms of the academic rigor and stuff, we have the college classes, they're expecting college like work from us. We can't just turn in something that would be in a normal non-advanced class. Like they have those expectations for us. So I feel like that is really helping us because we'll have a better idea of what to expect going into next year. And I know I'm taking a bunch of APs this year, and I feel that it's really me being able to manage my time and balance that this year, I feel like is really going to help me starting next year in a different environment.
So what you're saying is there are no pandemic rules. It's business as usual, high expectations.
Yeah. We can't just slack off because even like we had our first couple weeks, they were kind of 50, like the first week we had some people here, some people not, just to get in the swing of things. And by the time we were all here, we were already trying to start getting through the material. We don't have the time to take a break and get used to things as much, so.
Excellent. And Brennan, what about you?
Yeah, so obviously what everyone else said, it's absolutely true. The college meetings we're doing online are absolutely amazing. We're having reps come in and we're talking to students one-on-one in small groups. For me, I've already gone to 2 this year. And then all the APs we're offering amazing. You know, I'm full AP with a double math this year. Leah's full AP, I believe so is Olivia. I believe Wesley's taking some. For me, actually, my biggest thing was that I signed up for calculus, AP calculus this year, but there weren't enough students. So the in-person course got cut. I talked with my counselors because it's an engineering requirement for the schools I'm looking for that I have calculus. And they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to give you an online calculus class. So the school went out of their way to make sure that I was provided with the necessary classes I need to be prepared for the college courses I'm trying to go into. And that's my biggest thing is that I said, you know, this is amazing. They set aside a time during the school day where I go and I sit on my computer and I log into my online calculus class and I get my work done. And then I talk to who normally teaches calc here, and she says, okay, I have 8th period free. If you need any help with your online class, you can come to me 8th period and I can help you work. So it's just that ability to really get that curriculum I need to be prepared for the college I'm going to.
Excellent. Yeah, you all have hopes and dreams, and I think that's great that you're still on the path, you know, to achieving that pandemic or no pandemic. So I give you all a lot of credit in each of your roles as student and as faculty members. It hasn't been easy, but you know, it's happening. We're doing it. So kudos. Now what I want to do is open this up to questions from the viewers for our panelists. If you want to go ahead and type some of those in, we can try and answer those for you. As soon as one pops up, I'll throw it to someone. Don't be shy. All right, so we had one that was emailed in. Volunteer hours. So what challenges do students face in obtaining their required volunteer hours? Have there been volunteer opportunities available to the student body to make the transition easier? That's a great question. Let's see. Olivia, do you want to answer that?
Yeah. So it's actually a senior requirement to get 20 hours of community service in before even coming to school senior year. So this summer we actually had to work virtually with Sister Dora and our religion teachers and figuring out ways that we could still get that community service without fully being able to maybe go to these places that we could have before, or work with the elderly, or work in food kitchens. So we were a lot more flexible this year with what we could do. So I know I was able to just help out with my grandparents and some neighbors that were comfortable with me doing work for them. I even did some work for some teachers in order I helped the school. So there was options, many options. They gave you lists and things that you could do on the website, emailing back and forth with what you had available to you, resources.
Great. And then tomorrow you have a senior retreat. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Leah?
So tomorrow, most of the school has PSAT testing, but we all get to come to school and we have our reflection papers for our community service that we're going to be, I believe, talking about and then writing about. And then in terms of the retreat, we don't really know like what other activities we're going to be a part of yet, but just going to have the day to our class and our teachers being able to talk about the community service, which I always enjoy. I always volunteer at my vacation Bible school at my parish, but they didn't have it this year, so I had to kind of go a different route with that. But just being able to take a day for our class to reflect on that, because it's such a big part of our school and the tradition.
Great. I had a question come in. Wes, how has the daily schedule and routine in the school changed due to COVID? Maybe you could talk.
Can you say it one more time?
Yeah, how has the daily schedule and routine in the school changed this year?
It changed a lot. It's certain things that we can and cannot do. We obviously can't, talk to our friends in the hallway. So they gave us more time in the hallways to get from class to class, because they know that it's going to be pretty, crowded if everybody has to go upstairs in like certain ways and then go downstairs certain ways. I mean, if you have a class that's in the opposite side of the building and you're a couple seconds late to your opposite class, your teachers won't be as on you as they were last year. So that's just one of the things.
And actually, they did away with homeroom, didn't they?
Oh, yeah,
They added.
there's no homeroom either.
Yeah,
We go straight to our first period class, and we basically do homeroom from there and watch morning update from our first period class, so we can just transfer right to first period after that.
Yeah, great. And then how does dismissal work now? That's a little different too.
Yeah, for dismissal, school ends at 2:44, but we have to stay in our last period class until they call us out one by one. Well, not one by one, but they say different groups. The first group is like if you're getting picked up, if you're taking a bus and you're driving, you can go out. And then like the next group, you have to wait like a couple minutes, and they will call you on the loudspeaker and say if you're getting picked up, you can come out. So it's different requirements for that.
Yeah, definitely different waves, so we can kind of keep the kids distanced. And then I'm going to ask this question to Mrs. Gionta. How are you working with the off-campus students for remote learning?
Yeah, so for off-campus, I don't think it's much different than the students that are here, besides the fact that they're not physically in front of us. Bernie Finch and Bill Marche have worked endlessly over the last couple months to make sure that our distance learners and the students that are in overflow have access to the classroom, even if they're not physically here. So the students that are distance, what they do is they log into the classroom through Microsoft Teams. There's a live stream of everything that we're doing. They can chat, we take attendance, they do the assignments, they have access to anything that's being projected, they can see the teacher. So it's like they're in the class. I have heard some complaints from some of my students that they are not feeling as though they are included. And I know that we've had many meetings and the teachers are talking about how we can try to include those students even more. I know that they did mention that coming up in the new quarter, a lot of our distance learners have actually chosen to come back to in-person because they see how safe and how fun that the in-person students are having. So we do expect a lot of those students to come back, but I enjoy them. They participate, they're there on time. They usually start the meetings before the teachers can because they're so prompt, but I enjoy having them.
Thank you. And that question was from one of your classmates, Bob, Justin Godding, class of 73.
Justin Godding, yeah.
He says hello.
Hey.
All right, we have another question. What do you see as the biggest advantage of being a student at Aquinas? Brennan, you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, my answer isn't what most people are going to say of like, oh, it's, it's a close-knit community. Oh, it prepares us. No, actually, what I think my biggest advantage is our alumni network. I mean, we have some 25,000 alums around the country, and I've had to reach out for various things, and there's always an alumni who's willing to help you. So I did a scholarship competition over the summer, which was actually hosted by an alum, where it was like Shark Tank, and being able to have a alum that was assigned to me as a mentor and get to know this person and their Aquinas experience and what they're doing after, it was just a really great thing. And then looking at my college search, I've been able to contact alumni members who have gone to different colleges to ask them questions from the experience of someone who's gone there. I mean, there's only so much you can get from the college rep who's, trying to sell you their college is the best one. But being able to ask this alumni member who maybe graduated last year, because, we have alumni of all ages, hey, what was your experience when you were here? What do they look for in my applications? What should I be doing different? Just definitely being able to reach out is such a unique thing about Aquinas, which I don't think a lot of other schools, definitely not public schools, they don't have the alumni relations like we do, and our students can greatly benefit from it.
Yeah, I can, as a minority here, as far as private school versus public school, I can tell you, I certainly don't have that network with my alma mater. So I see that as a huge benefit to you guys, and I think that's wonderful that you're taking advantage of it too. And one thing about our alums, they're always so willing to help, to impart some of that knowledge. And I think that's just a testament to our culture and our tradition here. So that was great. Thank you, Brennan. Let's see. We have another question from Sala Sessi. Have any students had to leave Aquinas due to the impact of COVID on their families? And how has it affected student population this year? And I can talk a little bit to that point. We actually saw an increased interest, obviously, in Aquinas because we are 5 days a week and we're in person on campus. We definitely didn't take any sort of hit as far as enrollment goes, which is wonderful. I think, if parents didn't see the value in the private Catholic education before, I think they're definitely seeing it in a new light now. But I can tell you too, we had the COVID relief fund. We did have families who applied for COVID relief because they were impacted financially by the pandemic. So we definitely saw families who were facing additional hardships, and we're helping them. And that fund is still open, and we're doing the best we can to keep those students here with us, because they know that this is the best place for them, and we know that too. So let's see, we have another question about volunteer service. I heard that seniors had a 20-hour volunteer requirement before the school year from Olivia. What are the requirements volunteer-wise for all grade levels, freshman, sophomore, etc.? And how are students being aided in what volunteer work is available and safe? So yes, Olivia talked about that. The graduation requirement is 64 hours. is 64 hours to graduate, and 20 hours senior year, and then was it 16? Leah, you look like you're unmuting.
I think so I know junior and sophomore year, it's 8 hours first semester and 8 hours second semester. And I think for freshmen, it was 6 each. I might have made that up, but I can't remember exactly.
It adds up to 64 at the end.
Yeah.
And I know that your service work used to be based on the corporal works of mercy. They kind of had to fall in line with those. But because of COVID, I know that they have, like Olivia was saying, opened it up a little bit more. For example, if your grandmother is, vulnerable because of her age and whatever other pre-existing conditions she might have, can't go to the grocery store, I'm pretty sure that they are accepting things like, helping your family members who can't do those things, or helping them with, yard work and completing things that are socially distant, and also helping others, right? Yeah. Head nods, a lot of head nods. Are there any other questions from the viewers? I'm not seeing any come in. Oh. Let's see. All right. Just checking one more time. We had one question. One question from our president, Dr. Cook. He wants to know, what is your favorite thing about attending or working at Aquinas? I'm going to start with Mr. Dietor. What's your favorite thing about working at Aquinas?
It's Aquinas. It's the family. It's the family atmosphere. It's the connection between people, and it's something. I graduated in 1973. Those guys I went to school with are still my best friends. I hang around with them. It's the education is phenomenal. And Brennan said it. It's not so. It's the alumni base and that stuff. But beyond that, you're going to find out in 10, 15 years, those connections you made here, those are the things you're going to really lean on. So I think it's the family. It's the family thing. Being a big family.
Mrs. Gionta, favorite thing?
I agree. I think it's just the connections and the friends that you meet. I married. My husband and I both graduated in 2006, and we're friends with a lot of the people that we were in high school. This year, I was given the opportunity to be the capstone coordinator, and that has given me the opportunity to be able to reach out to a lot of my classmates and other alumni and get them involved with the students. So I think that's a big part. I also think my favorite part is just their whole idea of teach me goodness, discipline, and knowledge. The type of students that graduate from Aquinas are students that people want to employ, and people that are good people. And it's a place that I want to send my daughter. So I think everything about Aquinas is my favorite thing about working at Aquinas.
Do you want to talk briefly about the capstone?
Sure. Yeah. So the capstone it's a project that we're going to be working on 6 through 12, but the major part of it is our junior and our senior year. So our juniors will complete their junior research paper, and it's a paper on an interest that they have. At the end of their junior year, they will actually sit down in front of a panelist and present what they want to do their project on as a senior, and they get the okay to do that. So then when they're seniors, they're given mentors. So it's like 10 students per one mentor who's a teacher, and they work through the year to develop this project. The best part is that we can include our alumni. So our alumni will be field experts. So they will be assigned to students that are doing their project in their field, whether it's coming up with a dance or creating a community project, or it's doing research at a local hospital. Whatever they choose, they'll be assigned an alumni field expert that will help them walk through that process. And then at the end of the year, there's going to be a huge capstone presentation where hopefully we'll be able to open the building to people to come in and see what our seniors are doing. The whole point of the capstone is to prove that they have met the profile of a graduate and that they are leaving Aquinas as the people that we want them to be and the people that they're saying that they are. And they defend that through the work that they save from 6 through 12. So it's a great opportunity. It sets us apart since we've come off of the Regents. It gives us an opportunity for students to defend their growth. I know a lot of local colleges have this capstone, I guess, platform. We have been traveling to Nazareth, and I know St. John Fisher does something similar. So it's a way to include our alumni as well.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask the students, just quickly tell us, what is your favorite thing about being an Aquinas student or attending Aquinas? I'll start with Brennan.
For me, it's the course availability. I came here as a transfer student, so being able to see that my public school didn't offer the courses I wanted, but Aquinas did, was really a big seller for me. So my favorite thing would definitely be my available classes.
Thanks. Leah.
So I also am a transfer student. I came in after February break of my freshman year, so not even halfway through the year. It was a little weird circumstances, but just how welcoming. I've had the faculty, the students, admissions, everything, every single person made it so easy, and everybody was just the nicest people I've ever, like, seriously ever met. I'm not just saying that. And also, it's just, I feel I've met people at Aquinas, teachers, faculty, who my family know that I never would have like came in contact with even before that. I have family members who know other students, other faculty members, staff members, everyone, and it's all just really is like a family. There's no other way to describe it.
Olivia, what is your favorite thing about being an Aquinas student?
I have to say my favorite thing is, building off the family thing, is the support I feel being an Aquinas student. I feel like coming to Aquinas that like my teachers, my counselors, administrators, like I feel like they're here to help you and they want you to succeed. I have teachers from middle school that still keep up with me and keep in touch and see how I'm doing. And I just feel like you don't get that at a public school. So that's definitely one thing that I love.
Thank you. And Wes, what's your favorite thing about being an Aquinas student?
I feel Aquinas is more as a family more than just a school. You know, I'm a transfer student. This is only my second year here, and I feel like since I came here, it's just everybody's been so open and it's like open arms. They're just accepting me. So I just feel like everything's just so comfortable.
All right. Thank you. All right, there are no other questions in the chat or in the Q&A. So as the Associate Director of Advancement for Enrollment and Communications, I do want to let you know that we are opening up our campus to prospective students on October 28th. That's a Wednesday, and it's for our annual open house. So you get an insider's view on how, you know, we're doing this, how we're here on campus 5 days a week for in-person learning. Our students don't actually have school that day, but our faculty and staff members will be on hand along with our student ambassadors to give prospective students a tour of the school and learn more about our curriculum and all of the opportunities that exist here at Aquinas. So, you know, if you are a fan, if you do have children who are, you know, in grades 6 to 12, I encourage you to come check it out. You can sign up online. But other than that, I want to thank all of our panelists here today. You had some wonderful insights into the school year, and I think you've given everyone a lot to think about. So thank you so much, and have a great day.